This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with James O'Brien.
Good morning, it's 3 minutes after 10 and you are listening to James O'Brien on LBC, where in the course of today's programme we will probably be returning to the vexed question of Northern Ireland, the first male UK footballer in decades to come out as gay. I wish we didn't have to talk about that. I dream of the day when we wouldn't be talking about that, because it wouldn't be the first, it would be the 50th or the 500th, and it would cease to be a major issue or indeed a major story. But it is, and so we shall. But we begin... Well, here's a headline from today's Times. Obesity U-turn is weak, shallow and immoral. Now, I wonder which touchy-feely, airy-fairy, lefty, liberal politician or pundit or chef has come out with that headline. Obesity U-turn is weak, shallow and immoral. And it goes on to argue that it's the threat of letters of no confidence from backbench MPs that has prompted Boris Johnson to see off a policy that might have turned around Britain's ruinously bad diet. Except it was written by William Hague, former leader of the Conservative Party and, of course, grandee of the current Conservative iteration. Jamie Oliver is in the studio. Let's start with why you're in the studio. I mean, I don't want to sound ungrateful or unwelcoming, but
it wasn't the plan.
I didn't book you. I just walked downstairs and there you were.
I couldn't sleep last night, and I was sort of processing over the weekend the weakness and the over sort of importance of party politics over the actual issues in anything. And my specific passion is child health and the capacity that our children could go to school and come out the other end with as many options as possible. And the U-turn that he did on his own law, that his own research and inquiries have kind of put, and certainly myself and many NGOs in sort of child health have been doing this for 7 years. Yes. So the downside for us is that any one single policy won't do anything. But when you start to build an ambush, a strategy, multiple touch points where you can make a child's chances of learning, seeing, touching, feeling, eating something better, then the hard fact is you can shift the dial, and it requires a leader that understands, you know, some people here. So look, at the same time, I've got a bit older. Like, I realised that, you know, look, he's got the job he always dreamt of. I don't know how, and I'm still trying to work out how, but look, he's got the job. So now, for me, he's just a vessel. He's just a vessel to serve the wider public community, and it really. But he hasn't got the backbone and spine to complete anything. And 3 o'clock last night, I went down. I decided I'm going to go down in the morning. I had to actually go and do an appointment with the doctor today. I'm like, before then, get in there, do a little message to him. I've called him out. You've got 36 hours to go back on your U-turn. Otherwise, on Friday at 12:30, I call on all parents and practitioners, kids, students, foodies, chefs, nutritionists, teachers to come to Downing Street at 12:30 for 15 minutes only. And I want to do it classy. I don't want to like do what the Parisians do and paint up the walls. I don't want to kind of do what they did with Trump and the White House. I want to take something that's profoundly symbolic of the situation we've got, which is we're going to take, wait for it, an eaten mess. right? You can buy it from any supermarket. It's just, look, Eton Mess symbolically was a pavlova that got dropped at this privileged school, right? And it was on the floor. They picked it up, mopped it up, put it in a glass jar, and they made a positive out of a negative, right? That's symbolic, right?
It is.
So, Boris, it doesn't matter how we got to here, right? But you can go back. You can say I was wrong, right? And the public and the practitioners of child health, they are more loyal to you than your backbenchers that are torpedoing your ideas, right, and backstabbing you. So I want people to come at 12:30, if he doesn't go back on his U-turn, to hold up an Eton Mess from this very privileged school and this very delicious, indulgent dessert.
It is. And you know, the likelihood of a U-turn, I suppose, is well, it's there, isn't it? Because he's done one already.
It's the right thing. Look, Look, we've heard for 2 years, follow the science. Well, that's there. Follow the righteousness. That's there. Follow what's right for our kids and future productivity of this country. That's there. So he's just got to do what his own government have already worked out.
Let me tell you something you already know, but people listening may not. Ministers say they are deferring the policy to assess its impact on the cost of living crisis.
Lie.
But when the government launched the strategy in 2020, it actually quoted research showing that these promotions, the bog-offs on fizzy drinks and on very high fat and high sugar foods, and I'm quoting now, actually increase the amount we spend by 20%. By 22%, by encouraging people to buy more than they need or intended to buy in the first place.
And waste more and eat more.
Yeah, these are not good deals for our... So you just use the word lie. Normally I caution a guest at this point and say, well, obviously the Prime Minister is not here to defend himself.
Yeah, he wouldn't know anyway.
But it is a lie.
He wouldn't know.
Right.
So as a leader, he should invest his trust in experts that dig deep and get under the skin of things. So he wouldn't know if he was here, right? But just to be very clear, it's not anti-discounts, it's not anti-promotions, right? Just to be very clear, this is how things are being played.
Yeah, go on.
It's the particular metric of the buy one, get one free. So if it's saying spend £2.50 and you get two, what we're saying is, look, mate, you can do £1.25 and get one. Right, so the data is it's making British people. It's not discounts at all. It's buy one get one free. So it's making people spend more, eat more, and waste more, which right now is the opposite of cost of living. And I'm very sensitive to this. I mean, everything from recipes and all the things going on at the moment. I mean, yes. even the junk food advertising.
Well, there would have been a ban on that as well. That's
watershed
the
at
other
9
bit,
o'clock.
isn't it? The pre-9 p.m.
But
advertising.
more than that, for the parents listening, like to protect your kids from that online and on the gaming and on apps, computers, stuff like that. So it was a total ban of junk food online.
Right.
And parents know it's a wild. By the way, this is supported by 74% of the public.
Yes.
And so what's frustrating for myself and all the charities and special interest sort of science, paediatrics, all the people that are involved in this. This is a long game for us, James. It's 7 years, this. And finally, we had something in words.
This is it, isn't it?
That was looking world class.
Because that's why you're taking it personally.
A week ago, I could said it was looking world class.
Right.
Now we've got to deliver. But now it's not world class because he's already eroded it. And what I know happens is once you show weakness, then the kind of Big Food Inc., and I'm not anti it because I'm employed by it.
Sure.
I'm employed by TV channels, right? That's the junk food advertising ban, Watershed. What, you think that gets me promoted? No. Like, I work for supermarkets and various food manufacturers. But the reality is, and it's a really interesting one, this inability to accept positive change that's been thoughtfully, scientifically worked out that can make a difference. This stuff can make a difference, right? Let me give you an example.
Go on.
When we did the sugary drinks ban, right, we edited millions of calories that are useless out of the environment, right? But the companies made more money. They widened their portfolio. They made their business contemporary for the next 10 years, and they gave the public more choice.
Which is the opposite of what everyone said would happen.
I should be getting a Christmas bonus from those.
Commission.
They got a Christmas bonus because we drove that campaign. If you look at TfL, which, by the way, you might think, it's just London, trains and buses as an advertising real estate. It's the second biggest in the world, right? So it's profound, right? They've made more money in advertising having the junk food advertising structure put throughout all of their advertising. Now, why is that important? Because I proved a couple of years ago that the advertisers were tracking kids going to school. The minute they got to school, it all went from like junk food and all the kind of snacks, it went straight to holidays and cars. Is it okay to follow, hunt, track children? No. Do the public agree? Yes. Does the science back it all up? Yes. And is anyone losing money? No. What we're actually doing, and I think this is what I wanted to make for the public listening today, these initiatives are often seen as a public-facing, what is this going to do for you? But that's like not even half the power. The true power is business to business. Like, what happens with the development chefs in these companies is, guess what? They clean up the recipes, they add choice, they get more good stuff in it, and they take out more of the rubbish. It doesn't take away a burger. It just makes a better one.
Like you did with the drinks. And it's a question of compelling people because change is rarely undertaken voluntarily. What's your understanding of why Boris Johnson, and I think you're right to pinpoint it as a very personal political decision, what's your understanding of why he's done it? And did you or any of your colleagues in the sector get any warning that this was on the horizon?
Look, I've learned to expect very little.
Sure, but you thought you'd got this over the line.
I think the halo.
You thought you'd got this one over.
Yeah,
the line.
I thought we'd got, and it's, by the way, this strategy is not. This is not the finished article. Sure. It's more of a culture and a symbolism of how every ministry, every council, every town, every environment can do lots of little things to actually make a difference. By the way, just to back that up, when independent research was done on TfL advertising, they realised that just over 1,000 calories a week was not going into families, excess, because of that. Wow. And it's a good bit of research. So I know when you're listening to, it won't work, personal responsibility, just do what you do. Like that doesn't work, right? If we follow this idea, and I get the idea of democracy and personal choice, right? I get it. We're not having that. But you wouldn't want the law on your seatbelts or smoking or the quality of the tyres on your car to change. We're random. I'll have random tyres. No. There is experts that have developed all these nuances that protect you and your family every day.
Yes.
So I think I'm dismayed. I think that the halo of him nearly dying from COVID has gone.
Sure.
Right? The other chaos that we have, and I understand...
Because, of course, he talked about his own weight then. That was supposed to have been the pivotal point when he realised that he needed to help the rest of the country.
And he's a new father, so I presume he hasn't had a rollicking from his missus yet.
Sure.
Who I would expect will tonight.
Yes.
But look, what do we want from a leader? Like they don't have to have everything, but when it's following the science, when it's about the children, if you went to someone in the Bank of England and said, is looking after the kids correct and having better health outcomes as teenagers, young adults, is that good for the UK PLC? Is it good for productivity? Is it good for, curtailing absenteeism? Is it good for this little island, this precious little island we've got that's now going it alone? They're going to say yes. Sorry.
Britain is, I know. Britain is now the fattest country in Europe with over a quarter of people classed as obese and most of the rest overweight. And the Prime Minister of these islands has just scrapped a policy or postponed a policy that would have, in your view, as someone who's spent more years than
James, this is profoundly important to get going, to set the scene, to set the culture of strategy and multiple touch points to make our children have better health outcomes. And
you're turning around an oil tanker, and the man on the bridge is just...
sink the oil tanker, start again.
Start from scratch.
We need a hydrofoil, we need to fly, we need to do something. But just look, this is not my expertise, but I've worked in this for 15 years passionately, from starting up 15, which was a restaurant that trained kids, often from prison and homeless kids, to the school dinners campaign where I was working in like Ferrier Estate, Kidbrooke Estate, had a whole handful of schools in Kidbrooke, like the free school lunch kids, like this levelling up conversation. You're thrown around like this thing, like this is just my belief, and not backed up with, although I think I could find it.
Sure.
But for us, like Middle England, to thrive, it's not us and them. For us to thrive, we need them to do better. They need to be more okay. We've got 1.2 million kids on free school lunches. Do you realise how little money you have to earn to qualify? It's like $7,500 per family household, $7,500. And then if you look at universal credit, which is around, I think, $14,000, correct me if I'm wrong, right? There's a big gap between the free school lunch kids and even there's lost children that are vulnerable right now. And COVID, I follow these graphs. So this is my other job.
Sure.
Right? The graph of British public health since 2000 is not great. Right, it is the worst in Europe, right? We tussle with a few countries like Germany, right? But nothing to be proud of. It ain't the World Cup. it's peaked so outrageously in lockdown for lots of reasons. Mobility, physicality, but also just the kind of just the reliance on junk food and delivery, and deliveries thrived as well. And we've got the most outrageous peak in eating disorders.
I didn't know that.
It's dark.
Right.
It's dark. We have to arrest this with, and you get. I mean, if I could get in a ring with half of those Conservatives that we're talking about nanny state, like I can give you a look. The first ever public health law was met with rioting in the street. Do you know what it was?
Go on.
The banning of sale of spirits to children, whiskey, rum, right?
No, I didn't know that.
So this relationship with public health has always had a rearing up.
DNA to resist it. Neophobia, fear of change.
And the word nanny state has this negative connotation.
Sure.
But for the love of God, when we've sent all our girls to work and we want our kids to be looked after at home, we need good nannies. We need love. We need care.
Run us through again what's happening on Friday.
Well, I just made it up this morning.
Yes,
dude.
I know.
I didn't want to.
I hope you're not leading me into illegal territory here, Jamie.
I don't think so. I wouldn't want to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But look, this is me on my own. This is 3:00 in the morning.
Of course.
This is I'm going to London earlier than early,
Usual.
which is 5.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be angry and aggressive because it's not classy enough.
No, I know.
I thought, well, what can we do? And what if the French are doing that and the Americans are doing that? What would the British do? And I thought, well, let's just grab an eaten mess. It's 3 ingredients. It's a bit of cream. It's a bit of meringue. It's a bit of fruit. Put it in something, ideally not glass, and turn up with me. If we don't do the U-turn on doing the right thing for our kids, right? I profoundly believe that this is the seed that can set a thoughtfulness that could get us where we want to get in this country and out of the filth that we've had in the last 3 years and that graph of the last 10 years. So turn up at 12:30 outside number 10 Downing Street, and I only want it 12:30 for 15 minutes.
Yep.
I don't want to cause any trouble,
Sure.
but I want to make a point. I just need a little picture, and we need to use that to symbolise that it's not just me on my lone voice and a bunch of scientists and people that like it's us.
Well, my
it's
inbox
parents.
suggests that there are many people.
And I
already
apologise that I'm talking too much,
on
but
side.
I'm
You're
firing.
Not, you always
on,
talk too much. You don't need to apologise for that. If you could address him directly, we're out of time. But if they submit enough complaints about this programme, so I presume they've got me on at some point in Downing Street. If you could address Boris Johnson directly, what would you say to him?
Boris, please follow the science, follow the data, do what's right, and start up. Your legacy must be not how you manage your feral backbenchers that are torpedoing the right things to do as a nation. It's being steadfast, steely, and doing what you know. This is not rocket science. Every ministry, every department of government has the capacity to in a symphony-like way, make a difference to our most vulnerable kids, which will make a difference to the whole country, the whole economy. And it's right, it's fair, and we want to live in a country where the stars are the limit, the sky is the limit, and constructive racism does exist. And if you look at the mortality map of Britain, it's the same as the poverty map of Britain in COVID, right? So we're keeping them there. We're keeping them down. We're keeping them ill, and also we're keeping them angry.
And it's costing 18 billion quid a year.
Boris, do the right thing. Be steely. Like we forget the bad stuff quite quickly. Let's do some good stuff.
Jamie Oliver, thank you.
Thank you.
It is 22 minutes after 10.
LBC.